It sounds like it.
Everyone does, but I just have to be aware. I think their headquarters
All right,
are in.
we're getting started here. So hello, everyone. Today is March 6th. This is the Atlanta FileMaker Developers Group. So let's go around the room and we'll do our introductions.
Erica Kidd, Clothespin.
Christy McAdvantage.
Dave Totten, Georgia Department of Community Affairs.
Todd Daniel, the entry enforcer.
Earl Cook, Laser Solutions. Junior, 360 Works.
Joshua, 360 Works.
Sean, 360 Works.
Joe Martin, 360 Works.
My name is David Nail from Blue Feather. Our presenter today is Jeremy Brown from Geist Interactive, and he's going to be talking about their product WidgetStudio. So Jeremy, I'm going to transfer this to you, and, then you can take it away.
All right. So I'll just start my screen.
Yep.
Share my screen here. All right. That, I guess, remove that. And let's get to this. Can you see that? Can you see my my
No, I'm addressing something here on our side too at the same time. Yes, you can see it.
Okay. Cool. So I am here. Thank you for inviting me. I was going to get up there, but since I moved to Florida, I moved to Orlando in the last couple months. I decided that I'm never leaving this state because it's always warm here. And so I see it's like 40 degrees there. So I guess that's kind of okay. But anyway, so I'm glad to be here remotely, and we're going to talk about WidgetStudio. A little bit about myself. I am from Geist Interactive. I spent 4 years at Salient Consulting, and then I moved over to Geist Interactive. I'm an evangelist here, spreading the good word about Geist Interactive and our products and FileMaker in general. So I was lucky enough in 2017 to speak at DevCon, spoke last year, and I get to also do some training again this year on JavaScript. So I'm excited about that. These are my dogs, Zelda there on the left, Kirby on the right, on the bottom. They are definitely part of my life, the big part. They're laying at my feet right now, so I may have to put them out of my room. But, well, this is fine. I'll stick with this for a little while. PowerPoint is keeping me from seeing you all, so I apologize. I'll be quick at this, and then we'll get into some actual demo. You all know Geist Interactive. It's been great working here to mostly evangelize FileMaker, and I enjoy that kind of work. I used to be a teacher and enjoy helping people learn FileMaker, and in my opinion, learn FileMaker the right way the first time. Try not to. I don't really want people to go down the route that I went down, or maybe a lot of us, where we learned a lot of bad decisions, made a lot of bad decisions, and learned a lot of bad habits, and then had to relearn them all. So, yeah. So we're going to hear talking about WidgetStudio, and WidgetStudio is a problem-solving app, to steal a phrase from FileMaker Inc. itself. WidgetStudio was designed by Carson Lind of Eagle Optimizations up there in Minneapolis. And he solved a lot of problems with working with widgets, FileMaker widgets, using JavaScript and the web viewer. He solved a lot of problems, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And I'd like to demo it. I can't see any of you, but has anybody had a chance to look at WidgetStudio yet?
I've watched the demo. It looks really cool. I'm excited to see it.
Okay, cool. We'll get really in depth with it here. Anybody else? No? Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at it. So I told you WidgetStudio solves all of our problems. Well, at least our FileMaker ones, our developer ones. Nowadays, in 2019, our audiences, our clients expect modern widgets, modern workflows with interactivity and validation. They expect it to be fun to play with and to see cool things happen on the screen. It in 2019, we need things to fit our custom apps theme. We can't have a chart or something that doesn't use exactly the colors of our theme in our app. It just looks out of place. We also need widgets to function the way we want. And we need them to function get working very quickly. So this is our developer problems. We don't have time. Development is very expensive and it takes a lot of time, and clients need to know that we can develop quality and quickly. So WidgetStudio is a way to solve those kind of problems. If you worked in JavaScript, WidgetStudio also solves a lot of our JavaScript and web viewer problems. Well, not web viewer problems, because nothing can solve the web viewer problems, but it can solve definitely JavaScript problems that we've had. I've been working with JavaScript for about 6 years now, and I got to speak on it both all my times at DevCon so far. And here's some of the basic problems. It's time consuming to learn JavaScript. It takes some time. It's tough to find a library that works the way we want it to and then customize it the way we need it. And it's very tough to integrate a JavaScript library into our custom app. That's probably the toughest thing. And I actually have a blog post about this coming out soon, that in my workings with FileMaker and JavaScript, I love working with both of them, but I really don't like the process of having to integrate, because there's either you build a lot of you build tables and relationships and all this stuff, or you work with JavaScript code that you can't edit very easily. So it's really a big problem. Again, I can't see any of you, so just shout it out. But have you all done JavaScript integrations?
A handful.
No, there's different levels of experience. Some people have done some, and some people, this will probably be a good introduction.
Great. Well, that's another problem that WidgetStudio addresses, is the person that doesn't know JavaScript can implement these modern interfaces with interactivity, validation, functioning, and quickly. So WidgetStudio helps with all of those things. By the way, at the end, there will be a test.
Oh, no.
Pay attention. Here's how WidgetStudio solves problems for us. WidgetStudio helps us find and create widgets. It helps us to customize the widgets. So we can customize widgets any way that we want and change colors and text and so forth. And WidgetStudio helps us to deploy those widgets in a matter of seconds. And I'll be demonstrating that here tonight. But this is to me, as a experienced user of JavaScript, this is the most profound solution that WidgetStudio comes with. If you have never worked with JavaScript, these two are definitely going to be enticing, because you can find widgets that solve a particular use case for you in your custom apps, and you can customize them and then deploy them very quickly. So we'll run through all this stuff tonight. I'll show you all of that. And as soon as I get out of Keynote here, I'll be able to see you. So that's good. That said, WidgetStudio solves all those problems. That said, at DevCon this year, I am doing a training day session on JavaScript. There it is. And it's going to spend the whole day, all 6 hours, working with JavaScript in FileMaker, talking about all the different ways that we can do it, teaching some exact JavaScript, because we need to know the language. People who really want to dive in and get super detailed and build complex widgets need to know some JavaScript. We'll also do a review of everything that's been happening in the FileMaker world in the last couple of years in the JavaScript world. So if you're going to DevCon and you're really interested in JavaScript, it's probably I mean, I'm biased for sure, but it's a very good it's a good value for the money to spend some time focusing on JavaScript. All right, so that's the end of the advertisement. And now let's go to actual stuff. So let's see here. How do I guess I just need to pull up my browser. Where did you go? Where's my Google Hangouts?
On the right, aren't we?
On the right. I see my stop sharing. Now I'm not sharing you anymore. Oh, there you are.
We're back to you now.
Ah, there we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put you over there. You can still see my keynote, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's dive into JavaScript to Widget Studio and just see all of these things that I talked about that brings to the table all of these solutions. Widget Studio was designed, I said, by Carson Lind, who really was interested in making sure that people have access to modern, awesome, cool widgets at a fraction of the brain power and the fraction of the that's a good tagline. I should write that down.
Yeah, that's right up there.
But it's designed for that, and I applaud him for that. I'm a little jealous about it because it's pretty awesome, and it's definitely a great step forward in what I was doing back before I joined Geist Interactive and since then. So anyway, so let's take a look at Widget Studio in depth and in the context of those three solutions. First of all, Widget Studio helps us to find or create widgets for our custom app. So Widget Studio has a repository of many, at the moment, different widgets. And these are all downloadable, and then you can take them from there. So we've got a data map, we've got a data tree, we've got things that we see as useful for FileMaker developers. At the moment we don't have any animation ones in there because although those are cool, they're not really useful to solve a particular business case for your clients unless it's to distract and waste time. So I don't know if that's probably somebody's use case, but so we have a lot of them, and I'll just show you. Even just last week, these are the ones that we had. We have a data map that you can see. I'll make this bigger here so we can see.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. So we have a data map here. There we go.
Yeah, yay.
Much better, thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to zoom in very much on Widget Studio. I'll zoom in my screen, but it's kind of locked down, so I can't really do that. So we got a data map, which I love. You can highlight. You can give colors to each state. I don't have to draw these individually using SVGs and FileMaker and button bars or whatever. I can actually just let the JavaScript library handle it. Pass this state a color and get pass it a value and give it a color. I can hover over it and get the number, and then I can call back to FileMaker. We've got a cool data tree that I see asked about on the forums quite a bit, how to build something like this, and people attempt to do it with portals and lists and all that stuff. And this is just so much faster and easier. We've got a bunch of charts now that we're working through. We've got a single series up to a triple series chart. Got a timer. Got some nice progress indicators. A little old clock. That's really old school. Text comparison. Man, that would be tough to do in FileMaker. And what I think is like the crowning the holy grail of FileMaker development is a pivot table. And we're continuing to release a lot more. In fact, just this week, we've released a couple date and time pickers. Let's see here. How is there we go. Okay. Hopefully this can help you all. We released a couple date and time pickers that are available for use. And, you know, again, it's all here and it's all ready to go for you. So Carson and Geist Interactive are working together to get widgets in here, releasing them many at a time so that people can come here and continually find what they're looking for. So this is part of how WidgetStudio solves our problems. We don't have to hunt around for a charting library or a data map. We can just go to WidgetStudio, and this one has been proven to work in FileMaker, and so it's available to use.
Hey, it looks like there's a problem with the screen refreshing. Can you zoom back out?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just stay zoomed out then.
Unfortunately, yeah, it was
Freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, he's got. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so that's fine. Just everybody scooting closer.
Yeah, right.
All right, so that's one part of the solution. We can also, if you're an experienced JavaScript developer, you can actually create your own widget. And we've got a fully functioning HTML editor here that will allow you to, you know, copy in the code that you need and then configure everything that you need here for it. I'm not going to go into detail on this because this is a great solution, but I'm the developer. Me and Carson and Todd are developers of the widgets. Many people will never create their own widget. So, but this does help advanced JavaScript users develop their own. The second thing that WidgetStudio does is it helps us to customize our widgets. So I'm going to go to this C3 chart just for the fun of it, this triple series chart here. And here's our basic interface. On the left side is all of the customization that is available by the widget developer. So I developed this and I made a lot of options available for you to customize. And I tried to think, you know, I tried to think of how useful would this be? What options do people need to have in order for this to work in theirs? And the most obvious, of course, is the color. So I can go in here and I can make changes to the color. And on the right side, I see the automatic updates. I can, depending on my data, here's my data structure, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I can tell the widget that I want, let's see, right now apples is blue, but I'd rather peaches be blue. So I can update this series 1 key to be, and then I have to change this one and so forth. So there's customizations here with this, and let me put this there. So I can change colors. In this particular one, I can tell the widget which of these 3 series I want to stack. Notice I have peaches and grapes stacked at the moment, and I can say I want, you know, grapes and apples to be stacked, or I want all of them to be stacked. So I'll put peaches back in there.
Oh, okay.
So this gives me all of those possible options. I can customize, you know, such things as the title of the x-axis. So here it says sales. I can change it to be something else, and I can adjust the positioning of it so that it's anywhere I need it to be.
Like a way more powerful version of the built-in FileMaker charting tools.
Way more powerful. Yes, that's exactly right. So, and yeah, and this gives you the interaction, but it also it gives you the customization of this library that somebody built and many people tested, and a lot of bugs have been worked out, and it just comes with all this cool interaction. We could take hours and hours to do this in FileMaker, right? So WidgetStudio solves the problem of customizing it to be exactly what you want for your custom app. Okay. And every widget has different needs and different customizations. A lot of them have to do with the coloring, of course, but but it allows you to make the changes as you see fit, as we have exposed. Then when it comes to, I'll go back to the charting, because the point of this chart is to show FileMaker data with it, right? Obviously, we don't want to just have this fake data. So WidgetStudio comes with a way to not gather the data, but show the data that we have gathered using our FileMaker skills to display in here. This widget needs this JSON array with some values, with some keys and values. And then it's going to, based off of our options, it's going to graph what we have passed to it using our skills. So we can, anything we want to graph in here, it doesn't have to be apples. It can be anything that we have gathered using our FileMaker skills, using the JSON functions to generate this object, and we send it to the graph. And I'll show you that in a bit. But this is a great solution for us. It's difficult to customize. In my past workings with FileMaker widgets, JavaScript widgets, I've had to go into the JavaScript code and find the exact thing I wanted to adjust, and then adjust it, and then realize that I made a mistake because the web viewer, all the chart disappears. WidgetStudio takes all of that away. It abstracts it. It just makes it very clear. If I wanted to, I could go into this code and I could adjust things manually, but WidgetStudio solves that problem and makes anybody, even if you've never used JavaScript, gives you access to create it and customize it. Any questions so far? Any thoughts on that?
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And very easy.
Very easy. Yep, that's the solution. So here's where the fun stuff happens, though. Of course, it's pretty in here, but we need to somehow get it to our custom apps. So I'm going to do that with the time dropper, because one of my use cases is that my clients want to be able to pick a date range and send that back to FileMaker. So this widget is set up to do that. I can come in here, I can click on the 1st through the 17th, hit the apply button, and a FileMaker script runs, and it tells me that this data, that start and the end range, was passed to FileMaker from the widget.
It looks like it's passing it as JSON. Is that right?
It's exactly passing it as JSON, because it's basically, in fact, it's right here. I'm telling you, WidgetStudio is giving you clear instructions about what it's passing. It's passing a JSON data object, and here are the keys, and here is what they mean. Okay.
Easy to parse them.
Exactly. In fact, when we get there, WidgetStudio helps you with that. If I were to click this button, it has actually already copied the steps that I need to parse that object out, So I'll show you that in a bit. So we've got this widget. My client wants it to do this. If I need to make some changes, maybe they only want a single date picker, and maybe they want, I'm going to leave the time off for now, but they want a single date picker just to make it easy. So they can come in. So we've given them that solution. Actually, I'm going to do the double. We've given them that solution, and now we're going to bring this into FileMaker. So I'm going to deploy this in, let's see if I can find it. FileMaker released these new templates, and I'm going to use one of theirs. I'm going to go to the job layout. And what I want to do is I want to put in the start date and the completion date. So here's how I'm going to do it. It is 7:29:35 seconds. And I am going to build up this widget inside of this app here. So let's put that over here. So here I go. Couple steps. The first step is I'm going to do this both ways just so you see. I'm going to click this first deployment method button called Embedded Web Viewer. This creates a web viewer and puts it on my clipboard. Then I can go over to my custom app, go into layout mode. I'm going to turn off that script trigger for now because that's going to mess us up. And inside of this date range popover, I'm going to press Command V, and it's created for me a web viewer.
Wow.
This web viewer has all of the code in it, and now I've got it set up for me.
Wow.
So in just, I mean, that was less than a minute for me to put that in there. There's a little bit of setup still to do because now when I press this, it's actually running this test script from over here, and I don't want it to run that test script. I would rather it run a script called parse date range. I'm going to copy that script name, and I'm going to go inside. I do have to do just a little bit of work here. In fact, I'm going to go back to WidgetStudio because I want to tell WidgetStudio that instead of calling the file called WidgetStudio, I want you to call a calculation. So it's going to get file name. And I want you to call the script that I just put over in the other app. Okay? So I've got that. I'm going to press Embed Web Viewer again. Go over here, delete this web viewer, paste it back in. And now I've got my web viewer set up to call this file and call that script parse date range inside of this file. All right, so let's go back to that. And let's just do show custom dialog, get script parameter. If I go back and then click on this, do the 1st through the 22nd, looks like I need just a, oh, there we go. So there we go. Now I'm passing this to FileMaker to this, and it's parsed, or it's showing me that. But I need, like someone said, I can now parse it out. So it's a JSON object. So I simply would click on this button here, go back into my script, and there's all of the steps that I need to parse that data out. And now all I have to do is know what fields those are, and set fields, date start, start, set field date complete. That would be end. I'm going to close the popover. There we go. Make it just a bit bigger so that we can see it all. There we go. All right. So if I open it up, this project, this job started on the 23rd and ended February 7th. Press apply, and that gets pushed into those fields. And that was less than 5 minutes, right, of putting together a widget to solve a use case in my client's app.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Elegant. Elegant, one would say, in their marketing material.
What was that?
Elegant.
Elegant, one would say, in their marketing material.
Yes, I will. I'll put that in there. So this is just one way to do it. We're going to go into another idea here, but this is the essential part. WidgetStudio helped me customize. It helped me deploy it after I found it. WidgetStudio did all of this. I can solve a complex use case in just a couple minutes. And the cool thing about this is that this library, which actually just dawned on me recently because there was big discussions in the community about how to format dates and such. It occurs to me that the library that's right here is actually helping me with that validation. It's only allowing the user to choose valid dates, and it's only giving to FileMaker valid dates. Now we're all in the US, so this is our format. I can come in here and I can change this format to match my country's locale. And then that is available. It sends the validated correct format back to FileMaker. And I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to deal with the user typing in the wrong way. Okay?
Yeah.
So that is that. There's information about this. In this case, we got this library from this, this place. And we make this available for anybody who's interested. They can go in here and look and go, oh yeah, there's the locale. This is the format. And they can, you know, if like min year, actually, I think I have min year in here, but this just allows anybody who's curious to see more possibilities with this particular widget. You don't have to, but it gives anybody the, like this, I love this right here. Today, yesterday, last 7 days. That would be tough to calculate in FileMaker. We could do it,
Yeah.
but this library already has solved the problem for us. So I don't need to waste my time. I can go, you know, go get a drink or something after. So anyway, that is that. Now this was a simple one, and so we were able to, like I showed you, embed a web viewer right here, and all the code is in there and it's all good. And that's fine. It's not my preferred way. So let's go to a little bit more complex one. We're going to try to do this in real time. We got some good amount of time left. Yesterday on the forums, somebody was asking how to create a pivot table. Like I said earlier, it's the holy grail. There's tons of methods out there. And I'm telling you, if you pay attention to the forums like I do, it gets asked at least once a week. And this is one that I would, you know, I'm very careful about promoting JavaScript. I think that it's worthy of every FileMaker developer to know, but I understand people's levels and hesitations. WidgetStudio removes all of those, but what I have told them is that I would never try to build a pivot table in FileMaker using FileMaker things. You know, fields and repetitions and portals and, you know, single row portals that are filtered. Just ridiculous. I would turn to JavaScript. Luckily, we have one. So last night, what I did is, while they were arguing about how to do it on the forums, I went into WidgetStudio and I found our pivot table. And I should have reset this because this is kind of the solution already. This is WidgetStudio's pivot table. There's a ton of ways to customize it, and there's that. So here's how I did this. The first thing I did is I looked at what they wanted. They wanted I forget how. There we go. Okay. So they wanted a pivot table that was based off of year and month, and then they wanted to count up how many, or sum up the total amounts of income for each year and each month. So I looked at this and I said, all right, we need to know the year. We need to know we've got year, we've got month, and we've got an income field, which they're summarizing here. And we can see that in the managed database. We've got a year, we've got a month, and we've got the income. We don't need the income date, but we need the income amount. So that's what they wanted to put on the pivot table. So I said, all right, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to walk you through this whole process if you don't mind. First thing I did is I created this pivot table to match what they wanted. They wanted, in this case, they wanted a count. So I said, all right, the very first thing that I want you to show me, pivot table, is the count of the number of the count of the number of income records per month. I want you to, across the columns, I want you to show me the months, and across the rows, I want you to show me the years, and I want you to work with a value from the income field. Okay. Then I made some changes to the colors. There's a lot of possibilities here. I'm not a designer, unfortunately, but you know, I spent some time on this. And then before I decided to deploy it, I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to grab the information from this, and I'm going to put it in here as a test. So I'm going to get my JSON. In this case, it needs a JSON array. And if we read, let's see, where is it? Oh, it's right here. We can read the instructions that I've written here. Again, this might be too small, but it tells you exactly what the object is. We need an array of a bunch of arrays. So the first element in the array is the headers that are going to be summarized. So we've got month here, we've got year. By the way, I didn't even show you this, but the cool part of this pivot table is that I can move things around and just go crazy. I can even, get rid of some and filter it down much, much faster and easier than I could do. I can, do a count. I can do a sum of, this isn't going to work, sum of the price, I guess. I can do, I can put together an average. I can show the maximum. That's kind of maximum of sales. That's pretty interesting. It's telling me what the maximum is. I could even change all of this to be a bar chart, speaking of charts. So this one widget can do a ton of things that would take me hours and hours and lots of hair pulling to get to work in FileMaker using FileMaker objects. All right, so what I said, let me go back and kind of set it to its default. There we go. Okay. So they needed to see, again, they needed to see the months going across and the years going down, and they wanted to see the intersection of those two. So I'm going to go into, and I know that I need an array. I'm going to go into my income table, and I'm going to create an as JSON field. I'm going to make it a calculation, and I'm going to put the values from each record into a JSON object. So I'm going to just do JSON set element. It needs to be an array. And then there's only 3 things that I need to put in here. I'm going to put 4 actually. So I'm going to do the first part of this array is going to be the year. Actually, I want to do year. And this is a JSON number. And the second element in the array is the month. Actually, we're going to do, this is the month and the month name. So I'm going to do MM and space and month name. That's so I can get the sort to happen correctly. This is a JSON string. Then I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do the income amounts. And that's a JSON number. I think that's good for now. All right, so we've got those. Now this field, or this field here, is going to calculate everything into a JSON array. And then this is my trick for doing this. I'm going to create a summary field, list of JSON. Make this a summary field, and I'm going to use the list of, and I'm going to because an array is just a bunch of elements separated by commas. Right now, this is a list, but I can take care of that via a script. All right, so let's just look at this in the data viewer and make sure we're correct. Get rid of all this. So my as JSON, yep, that's exactly what I want. Year 2019, the month of January, and an 82 value for income. And if I go through all of these, I can see all the different numbers right here. So this is a good start. This is the array that I want. Okay. So I'm going to actually grab then the as JSON, or the list of JSON. That's the list. But I'm going to tell it I need to turn this into an array actually. So let's do substitute the as JSON, or no, the list of JSON. There we go. What I'm doing here is I'm taking this list and I'm turning it I'm removing the paragraph mark, and I'm putting a comma in there with another paragraph mark so that this can look more like an array. So now we've got all my data there, and I can take all this. I'm going to just push it into here to test this out. So we'll open this up. Remember, according to what the description is, the first element of this array tells me what they are. So the first one was year. It tells me the headers. Then we had month, and then we had income. So these are the only three for this custom app. The rest of these I can remove because this was part of the test. Okay. Now I'm going to take that array that I have in my clipboard, and I'm just going to go through all of this data and remove it all the way to the bottom. Copy it and remove it, and then paste it in. So there's all my data from the from my app. Okay. Click out of there, and now I've got the test data. I've got all of that data summarized here in WidgetStudio just to test it, make sure I got everything correct. And yep, I see that. In fact, if we could do that just to confirm things, but it's telling me that in 2016 there were 3 income records for January. So I can just so 2016. And then just 1 maybe. Yep, there we go. So 3 records. So this is counting them up. So I think this is working pretty well. I'm definitely going to have to do some testing to see. But this looks like it's ready to go. It looks like it's ready to deploy into my custom app. So I'm going to do that. Got it all how I want it to be. And in this case, you notice down here, when I'm ready to deploy, I can't embed this in a web viewer. I can't do what I did in the other one with the date and time picker, because this web viewer has more characters than you can copy into a web viewer. FileMaker has a character limit of 30,000 characters for a calculation dialog. So we can't use the previous method to just create an embedded web viewer. But luckily, we have another way, which I actually prefer, called scripted rendering. Scripted rendering actually creates an entire script for you that generates all of the code needed for this, this widget. So I'm going to go over here. I've got a layout called pivot, and I'll just start back over. Before I do anything, I'm going to create that script. So I've got a script called render pivot table, and I'm going to press Command V, and all of the steps that I need gets copied and pasted from WidgetStudio into here. I have to do 2 things. Well, 1 thing right now. The first thing I have to do is create a web viewer object with the name of web. So I'm going to go over to my layout and create this object. I'm going to clear out the web address, just put in 2 quotes to be blank, get rid of some of the traditional things we get rid of. And I'm going to name this web. Okay. Save that. The next thing I have to do is run this script. So I run this script, and there we go. The web viewer has been placed into my custom app, and the test data has been, you can see the data right here. This variable right here holds the data. This test data has been also pushed into my app. So now my users aren't ready to use this with real data yet, because I haven't pulled the real data from this table. But this gives me a chance to see, oh, wow, I've already deployed it. This script does everything you need to do. So you can set it up using your FileMaker skills. When I come to this layout, automatically run that script, and the latest data can get pulled into this pivot table. And I had to do so little work to get this to work. Oops, you know what? I don't want the count to be the default. I actually forgot to take care of that. I'm going to go back to Widget Studio, change it from count to, I want it to sum. I want by default it to sum the records in the intersection here of a year and month. All right. So all I have to do is press that button, go back to my script, just delete all these steps, recopy it, repaste it, and now I've got a new configuration of this pivot table.
Okay, but a question?
Yeah,
Now the pull downs work or don't work now?
they all work because that's part of the entire library. So now it's all ready for them to use as the full functionality.
Okay.
So now I can find the minimum. Oh, this is cool. The minimum income for an intersection of month and year. That's kind of pretty cool. The first one and so forth. So
Yeah, why did you have to go back and change the code if I'm a little
As the
confused?
default.
yeah. So let me rerun the script. I'll answer that question. So
Oh,
the reason I did that is because I want, when people come to this layout, I want them to by default see the sum
yes.
rather than just the count.
Oh, okay.
And I can change that option here. What is my default aggregator?
Okay. Thank you. That clears it right up.
Got it. And the reason again is I have to copy it. And I mean, that is because somewhere in these two variables is the option that says sum or count. I don't want to go digging in there. I'm just going to recopy it, right?
Okay. Works for me.
So now all I have to do to finish this off is, instead of allowing FileMaker this script step to insert the test data in there, I would comment that out and I would write a script that would actually go get the data from the correct table, find the correct records, configure, format them as such, and then set a variable called data with the result of that script. And we can all use our FileMaker skills to do that, get data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new window, not a new file. I'm going to open up a new window. I'm going to go to that income layout. Then I'm going to show all the records or find a certain set of records. And I'm going to, the only thing I really need to do is set a variable. I'm going to call this data. I'm going to, well, the first thing I have to do is JSON set elements. I have to create those headers. Remember the headers, the month, income, and year. So all I do have to do this because this is part of what I'm sending to the library, to the widget. So this would be, what was my first one? Year, JSON string, then month, and then income, month. They're just my headers. JSON, this is a string, that's a string too. They're all strings. I'm going to copy this because, oh, I don't need to copy it. All right, so we got that. We got the header. Then I'm going to get another variable, set variable list, or array. I'm going to change it to the word array. And I'm going to call that list of field, summary field. But I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to substitute that. I'm going to substitute the return character with a comma and a return character. Okay, got that. So that'll give me the list. Now I need to finish this by actually formatting it into a full array. It's got to look exactly, by the time I'm done, it's got to look exactly like this. First element is the headers, and then every element after that is the actual data. So to do that, I'm just going to, let's see, I'm going to do this kind of old school. And data, that's my first thing. We've got the data here, and then, See if this works. Never works on the spot. We got that. We've got the data, and then we're going to do the array. Oh, you know what? I actually need a comma in between these because this is the header. This is the array. Here we go. And there we go. So if we're lucky, exit script, array, oops. Exit script, array. Let's just test this to make sure, and let's actually close the window. There we go. So we'll run this. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's make sure that this format is correct. Oops, not that one, this one. It's an array of year, month, income. Looks like it's good. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to do JSON format elements array. Okay, it looks good. Looks like I need it to look good. All right, so now we just add that script to my render script. Okay. And let's just do this because we see the 3 here. For the sake of time, I'm going to go to 2016. I'm going to duplicate this record. I'm going to change this to 16. I can't. Got to change the date. 16. I'm going to give this, 700. There we go. So now we should see 4 records. So let's go back to my pivot table, rerun this script. And there we go. So let's just check. Oh, you know what? Here we go. Data. Well, let's see here. Did I do that right? 2016.
You commit that record?
Oh, sorry, I put it in the wrong month. There we go. So now we have 4 records in January. This is just a quick test to make sure it's correct. Run this. And now, yep, that works because when I go to my sum, yep, 4 records of January 2016. So the only work I had to do was create this script that formatted the data properly to send it back to the widget. That's it.
Very
So that was a lot there. But we were able to solve 2 different problems, a date picker and a pivot table, in less than 30 minutes. And I was talking. And, it didn't involve any hair pulling, which is always good. It didn't involve any wine drinking, which is always great while you're working. Because WidgetStudio solves these problems for you. Any questions, any thoughts of this? No?
Very nice.
Very nice, yeah.
Good. We encourage you to give it a try. We actually, as kind of normal, and we want to spread the word about this. Well, let's get back to this because I forgot to do this here. Let's do this because I told you there was going to be a test. All right, so time for the test. What are some problems, and just shout them out, that WidgetStudio solves? Go ahead.
Hair pulling.
Makes implementing JavaScript easy.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Because here's what I had said before, as well as the JavaScript stuff. This is where our value comes in. If we can provide our clients with modern, nice looking, awesome things with lots of interactivity that fit our theme, that get to work quickly, that's very valuable to our customers and thus to us. So WidgetStudio solves that. Oops, I forgot to change this. How does WidgetStudio solve these problems? What are the 3 ways it solves these problems? What's the first one?
Modularizing the JavaScript.
Sure. So we have a ton of widgets where you can find them, you can download them, you could create your own. The second way is through the customization, where you can customize the widget to do whatever, to look however you want. And the third is deployment, getting it into your custom app as fast as possible. All right. So that's Widget Studio for you. I love the product. I'll probably never develop a JavaScript library, through the old ways that I've done this before. We encourage you to give this a try, especially those of you who have never worked with JavaScript. See how fast and easy it is. We do have a discount code for you for Widget Studio or any of Geist Interactive products. So feel free to jot that down. Oh, too late. I'm just kidding. This is available for you to, and anybody watching, to purchase anything that we have. But give Widget Studio a try and let us know how everything works for you. I'd love to hear your successes or your struggles with it. All right?
Excellent. I have a question. Do you have any widgets that interact with live data? For example, like a stock market widget or a weather type widget where on a contact database it maybe looks at the address and can tell you the weather or the local time? I had an instance where I worked with a marketing company that had a customer service department, and they needed to call back people. And a lot of their clients were in Hawaii or California, and at 8:30 in the morning our time, it was too early to call, but it would have been nice to have some icon or widget on there that would show the time of the customer to know you don't want to call them because it's 5:30 in the morning there.
I will.
Works like that.
I can find one that can do that. Yeah, that pulls the weather. And what was the else? What else?
Their time, the time of
Their
the contact at their location, and also something like a stock market. I'm just thinking of the widgets that I use on the Mac OS regularly. And it's nice.
Great. That's a great idea. Yeah. I'll look for those and see what we've got, and stay tuned to our Twitter feed for information about that. But that's a great idea for one. Yeah.
So I've got a question for you about this too. So when you purchase this product, what comes with that purchase?
So you get this tool called Widget Studio. That's the purchase here. All of the widgets that you browse and then download are available to you. This is all free. Just any of the widgets that we have put out there as in the repository are available for you. And then once you deploy the widget, notice if I shut down Widget Studio, this thing still works. This widget is not connected in any way to Widget Studio. So you get the ability to deploy these royalty-free, and they can be used anywhere. So I could take that date and time picker in my other app and copy it to 700 other apps. None of my users, my clients, need to have Widget Studio. This is all like FM Perception, just a developer tool that you use. In this case, you're putting together a widget very quickly. So that's what you get. And as long as we have a yearly license here, but as long as that's going, you get download to all of those widgets and deploy all of those widgets at any time.
Pricing?
Surprising?
No, he said, what's the pricing?
Pricing. The price.
It's let me pull that up. It is $300 a year for one user to license up to 2 computers. It is, let me pull it up here. My screen is huge. There we go. Let's see. Let's go down to the pricing. You can take a look at some more thoughts about it here. Here it is. So $300 a year for 2 computers, up to 2 computers. Small team is $400, $500, and then $750 for 25. And yep.
Cool. Is this solution unlocked if you purchase a license?
It's unlocked in that you can download and deploy any widgets. There's nothing inside of the FileMaker app. It's that itself is locked because there's just nothing there that as a developer we need to worry about. This is only a tool to customize and deploy. So you get unlocked in the fact the demo mode only comes with the first 3 widgets here, text compare, these two and the timer. These are the only ones that you can actually deploy in demo mode. If you downloaded any of the other ones in demo mode, you couldn't deploy those. So it unlocks in that you can download and deploy any of the widgets that we have in our library.
If you, so you said that you can create custom widgets. If I wanted to create a new widget, is that possible?
Yes.
Do you get to, you know, all of the side customizations you have, like the color pickers, what data point the pivot table needs to reference? Is it, I mean, are those, it is, you know, if I had WidgetStudio, is that something that I could implement? Like create my own customizable widget, deploy it to a number of different clients, but have different colors for each one?
Yes. Have different what for each one?
Colors, you know, just
yeah.
purposes.
Yeah, that occurs to me too. The pivot table, you could have many different configurations of this for many different users. So they're each a separate widget. So you would go in here and duplicate the widget and make the changes you want and deploy it out. Call this one, you know, for CEOs or something, right? They get a configuration. Then for, I don't know, janitors, they get another configuration.
Right.
So yeah, you can have as many different, and you're just duplicating the widget itself, changing it, redeploying that, and just, you know, keeping track of where your different widgets are. But yes.
I think what you're asking about here, though, is like if you made a custom widget, could you create all of the options?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. I'll show you that quickly here, if you don't mind. Let's see here. I'm trying to think how I would do it very quickly. Data tree. Okay, so the data tree, for example, I spent a lot of time working on getting the configuration, the options. You can change the icons here for each one of these. If it expands, if it, you know, if it's contracted, whatever. So here's how I did that. I went into the editor, and we have some good documentation on this. And I found in the library the places where I send to the JavaScript in this function here. I send to the entire library the color. Now in a normal website, somebody would make this color just be one color and it's static. But I, as the developer, wrote this little placeholder text in there, _ back color _ and that gets created as a variable right here that then I can assign an input type and a default, in this case, color. So you as a developer can create any options you want, add and make, you're basically with this syntax, you're exposing this option to a widget user as a widget developer. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do this all the time. I go back to those libraries. I go back to where I found this, and I look at it and I go, okay, what else can I expose? What other options does this thing have that I did not expose? So checked icons. So I'm going to add that line here, and I'm going to put in the variable, set up the variable here, and then that's exposed to a widget user.
Is there a way for people to share widgets that they've created?
Exactly, yes. So that's one of the deployment methods here. I can, these are just JSON files. So I can export this. There's a button at the bottom left, the bottom right. I can export this file, and it's just a JSON file that, in fact, let's just see what happens when I open it up. I don't know what it's going to open in. Oh, it's opening up in Dreamweaver. It's an entire JSON file that you can then share with anybody. Since these are royalty free, pass this to everybody in your shop for every client that you've got, and it's good to go.
Nice. Very nice. Can you show an example of your map data?
Yeah, sure. And by the way, this JSON file can also be ingested into, so if I've exported that out and I share and other people have it, I can import the JSON file and get your configuration of this particular widget. Okay. So that's sharing them back and forth between users of WidgetStudio and just, you know, the actual widget itself in the custom app. Which one did you want to look at?
Map data, and what, are you using shapefiles for that, or, yeah?
So this is a library that does it all on its own. I didn't do anything with creating the pictures. I just, let's see what's going on here. I just said, you know what? Let's use this library. Oh, you know what? I know what that is. Yeah, sorry. Let's see if I can fix this. Why is this not working? I have to figure that out. I'm not sure why it's cutting itself off there. The library does all of the work. As the developer, I went to, I don't have the source, but I just copied the library stuff in here. And actually, I think I'm copying, there, that looks better there. Yeah, so here's the library that draws all of the states for me. That would be awful if I had to do that manually, right? So what I'm doing in this case, and I see this all the time, especially as, you know, voting starts up and stuff, we see colors of states. It occurs to me, I was thinking about this recently, it occurs to me, this is very bright and colorful because in the data, in the object here, I have said, let's see, Alaska here has 354 as the data, and it's got a fill key of medium, which happens to be this kind of color here. Let's actually pick one that I can actually see. California here is low, and it has this light pink. So I set up this data, but the cool thing is I could come in here, and for some states, I could just delete them out and say, they don't need colors, and that's fine. My default fill can be just a light gray, and so they're not highlighted. You know, you could have this map that only shows one state, right? and is there. And what I have done is I've set this up again. This calls back to FileMaker, and it says this person just clicked on the state of Wyoming. So if I had this in my custom app that, you know, collected the data that, let's say I have 900 records in Wyoming for the state of Wyoming in my database, I could click on this and set up this script to go find that state and show all of those records.
Now, if we wanted to do the state of Georgia and only and have all the counties showing, would we use this widget and just change the drawing of the map, or start a widget new altogether?
That would be a new widget altogether, and that is something I'm actually working on to find the widgets from this library. So here's where all this came from, and this is what I started many years ago now. But this actually has a source called data maps. These are the options. We've got world, USA only. Let's see if they have more versions. Let's say a specific state. Looks like, yeah, I can maybe do maybe Alabama. I'm not sure what that is. Albania, maybe. That might be individual countries. So I'd have to look and see here if Georgia is one of the options.
Somebody's got one. Yeah, I think there was a GA.
Yeah. This might be individual countries. So this is, what is this? Germany, I think. Isn't that their code? Anyway, so I'd have to find, Great Britain. I'd have to find a library that would work with individual states. And I'm currently working on getting the other maps into WidgetStudio. We'll release those soon, so that I have, you know, the entire world. states even with labels. Oh, that's interesting. That must be new. So there we go. These are the possibilities. It doesn't look like this does individual states, so I would have to find a library that can handle an individual state. Right.
This all runs on the base elements plugin.
It does run on the base elements plugin. Yep, and it automatically.
200 a year, right?
What?
Do you know how much that license is? Another 200 a year?
No, base elements plugin is free.
Free? Okay.
Yep. And this WidgetStudio will install it if you don't already have it.
Okay.
Base elements is the magic that allows us to copy scripts to the clipboard or create steps and copy them to the clipboard. Yep.
Very nice.
Yes.
So there's a lot of information here. We do have some good documentation on it, on how to create, for those of you who are interested in that, how to use. And as we develop them, as we release them on Geist Interactive site, we're working on, oh, here it is. Nope. We're working on, providing some documentation for each one. It's a little bit tough because this is a lot of, writing individual documentation for each one is a lot of work. But I think any FileMaker developer could come in here and go, oh, this is the data that I need to construct. I can figure that out. I can create that somehow. Okay?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yay. Thanks for doing the heavy lifting. That's really nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. So. Oh, that's exhausting. I have to do that for 6 hours in DevCon this year. That's going to be nuts. Cool. Yeah. Please let us know how things are going with when you try out the demo or you use that promo code. I'll forward that I'll forward that to you guys so that you have it and you can use it anytime, really, when you are ready to make a purchase. All right.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Thanks all. I'll jump off now and say good night and hit me up with any questions or thoughts about WidgetStudio. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.